So good morning, everybody. Today we are going to talk about the topic for the week, which is searching. It's going to be search strategy and literature review. I want to just review what happened last week. You guys did very well with the research questions. I don't know how you came up with those, but you guys can tell me if you used AI. I told you I'm fine with it, but you need to source it, okay? You need to tell me which one you use. Like, oh, just be transparent. What did you use to come up with your question? And how, I don't know if it's easy to say, but what percentage of it is virtually like AI and what percentage is yours? I want you to do the same with your last assignment that I gave you, assignment 1. The questions that I gave you to answer, which are to provide you knowledge about how I'm going to grade your papers, okay? How I'm going to grade your research and how you're going to critique other people's research. So you're going to need to tell me the source, what you use, and what percentage was, like I use Grok mostly now. What percentage was Copilot or Grok and ChatGPT, and what is, whatever is not that percentage, it's just you. So just get used to being transparent. Um, I'm fine with it in this course. I think academia is evolving. I don't know what they're going to do with this in the future, but that's how I'm going to handle it. Okay. This is all very new. But wow, did you guys come up with great research questions? I was very impressed. I don't know if you looked at anybody else's, but I was very impressed. Some of them are possible, some of them are a little more difficult in a summer class. But we'll get down to it. Again, the intention of the class is to put you through the process of doing research. So if your question changes in the next week or the next couple weeks, that's okay too. You're just improving upon the information that I give you and how you're going to look into the literature that's available. So I need to tell you, so that's first thing was make sure you cite your source. So if you're using some sort of AI, just, whatever percentage I use Copilot or whatever percent I use ChatGPT, or what else do you guys use? Grammarly, what else? Did I cover all the bases? Copilot, what is the other one? Oh, Gemini, right? Some people use Gemini, Perplexity. So this is going to be important because we're going to do search strategies now. And it's important that some are better than others. ChatGPT is terrible with literature review and searches. It gives you the wrong references. I don't know why, it's sabotaging, but your references that you're going to collect are going to have to be legitimate, and I'll explain what I mean. Okay, just hold on. I just want to look at my notes that I made here to tell you today. So oh yeah, so what I want to do is look at the homework you gave me first. So I'm going to look at a couple of people without showing the names. I'm going to show you a good. Oh, I can't hide the names. Oh, I'm not going to hide the names. Okay, I'll just change the name. Not that it really matters. Like, don't be shy. We're all improving, but I know it's not fair to single somebody out. And also it's going on video, right? Recording. Okay, so this is a good assignment, right? This is an example of a good assignment I'm going to show you now. I'm going to cover me, take up a spot. I'm going to cover me and show you a good assignment. So here's a good assignment. I have to move this over. Hold on. So I'm noticing you can't see everything in your view. So I got to make it smaller. Yeah, you better be using your computer, not a phone, because it does block stuff. All right, so these are the questions you were supposed to answer. So this student answered the question and put here quoted, just quoted from the paper. The problem is clearly and concisely stated. The quote, households with similar economic and demographic characteristics accumulate radically different amounts of wealth. Very nice. So that, however this person got this, um, it's quoted right. She didn't have to come up with, okay, now I gave it away. It didn't come up with the statement, just clipped it out. Either the person got it from AI or found it I can't hide it themselves. Um, and then, so if you just put a score, I don't know what you're relating that score to, and I can't judge it so well. I mean, I'm not an expert in all these papers, so you got to give me some sort of clip quote and then grade it, and then I score you. So this one counted. So this column was for what it's out of, and this one is for what you get, okay? And then what I did was I tallied because there were two questions that weren't relevant. One was about the keyword search, because you guys are going to put this keyword search in your papers, but this person's not going to do that in practice. That's only done for systematic reviews where you give the keyword search so somebody can reproduce the work and or verify what you're doing or improve upon what you're doing. You provide a search strategy and show how you got your results, what you included, what you excluded. The other question that was removed or unapplicable was the role of the researcher. So there's probably going to be there'll be one or more researchers on the paper, and they're not going to say, oh, I performed the statistics and the other person made the interviews, right? They don't do that. They don't single out the authors. That can be done at the submission time for the paper, saying what percentage each author contributed. But in your case, I mean, in the papers you're reading, that's not going to exist. So that's most likely not going to be there. Even though the person scored it, I eliminated it. So the idea of you doing this on your own first, before I get into it, is that you're familiar and you're struggling with these concepts, right? That it's more memorable for you, I hope. Um, when you do your papers and your proposals and your papers, you're going to tell me, well, obviously you wrote the whole paper, but what I'll probably put there is I might change that to something like, strengths of the researcher, because you can't possibly, do everything. So you're going to find you're going to pick a paper that's of interest to you, and maybe you'll have some sort of, skills or abilities that you can write there. But this I might even drop it completely. But that's what that's for, because if you're working on a paper with somebody, you want to separate your role or contribution, and that's important to be aware of. All right, so that's the idea there. All right, and I scored each one. Some of them were worse than others, and I mean, it totally wasn't a great score, but the person was asked to improve it, and I gave time for students to improve their score. So this one will go up. That's the total score. What I'm going to do is, well, let's see how it goes. I'm going to grade them all. I have another one I'm going to show you, a bad one. I think you know what a bad one is, but I'll show you one that also is likely going to be improved. So yeah, from the process of grading, I could see. So this one is not completely graded, but just give you an idea. Okay, so here you can see my red comments that there's a lot missing. So I wanted to hear, can you see that clearly now? Oh, maybe. Oh, now I showed it. Okay, well, Whatever. All right, so this is the red just signifies I want more details because there were some comments but not full comments. So again, it's out of 45 um because I scored, like you were tallying the total of the selections here between strongly disagree and strongly agree. But I'm just saying if it was a good answer or a bad answer. And I'm doing this, each portion is out of the total 45 and I added it up. And I haven't completely graded this, but just to give you idea. So there's lots missing. So that's how I'm going to score your assignment number one. It's not worth a lot, but you get an idea of this is going to be how I'm going to score your papers in the end. All right. So get good at answering these questions, understanding these questions. Some people had trouble with what theoretical framework was, what conceptual framework was, methodology, or what was called research design. Research design is where I want you to tell me about the methodology. What did they do? What kind of regression, if they did a regression? All the papers should have had a regression. The other thing was validity. We talked a bit about validity and reliability. And whether it was mentioned in the paper. Some people just said neutral. I don't know, where am I going? Let me go in order. Independent and dependent variables. I wanted you to be explicit. Some people were very good at that. Confounding variables, hypotheses. There has to be a hypothesis in your paper. There can't be no hypothesis because it's a scientific paper and a hypothesis was stated that is being tested. So should be there. What I want from sampling is the way they sampled. In finance, usually they use secondary data. Somebody else collected it and they provided it. So usually that's just they didn't sample. You should be able to answer that and say that the source who was sampled, and if it was primary or secondary data, something like that. Sample size should be given. You might not be able to say if it's adequate or not, or the paper didn't, but you should be able to tell me the sample size. Sample bias should be there. Sometimes it's not mentioned, it's just inferred because it's theoretical, and we all know there's some sort of bias with different data sets, but you can tell me if it's there or not. So just make a sentence comment. Okay, so there's the methodology is going to go in research design. Can you guys see, or is this too small? Okay, here, internal and external validity. What does that refer to? What did you guys find out when you looked that up? What's internal and external validity? Okay, I'm going to leave you guys to tell me about that next class, okay? You guys are going to know what that means. Look that up. Tell me what that means next class. Um, and then,
Professor, I found the definition. I'm not sure if you want me to read it out.
well, I want you to understand it better. So read it over yourself, and tomorrow we'll talk about it, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Limitations and delimitations. The paper did something and it didn't do other things. That's what you're going to put there, limitations, delimitations. Um, So you guys, I think you guys did a fair job. I honestly do. Um, so some of you took the opportunity to improve your submissions, and some, well, more people didn't. If you fail this, if you fail this, I'll give you another chance to do this, but with a paper that you're actually going to use in your research, okay? So we can substitute this if you fail, because I don't want to go backwards with a paper you're not going to use. If you're going to use this paper for your research, I'll let you guys evaluate it more deeply, okay? So I will get those grades out to you hopefully by the end of the week. So the next thing I wanted to talk to you about, and I'll clarify, I'll explain that again later. Once you get your grades, I'll talk about what I just said again. So all the main things that you aren't understanding here, they will be discussed, like theoretical and conceptual framework. I just wanted to throw it out there so you could have a stab at looking at that. So what I want you guys to do from now on is always cite what you're using, what version of AI you're using, and how much of it was based on AI. All right, so that helps me. It helps you to have a record, because then you're going to think it's your work, and that's always not fair. Okay, give you a false sense of understanding. Okay, so what I wanted to do today, so let's have a discussion before I get into this, looking at some of your research questions. Some people didn't submit, so I don't know how that's going to go. Um, you guys did a nice job. A nice job. I didn't tell you to put the topic, and you guys put a topic here, so that's great. Let me share my screen. All right, so personal finance. Yo, Patrick. How do financial, let me make it bigger if I can. How do financial literacy and risk perception influence investment intention among young adults in developing economies? Oh my goodness. Nice question. All the questions are great. Now we have to think about feasibility. If you're going to do this research, are we going to have data for that? Maybe we do have data for that. Um,
Oh, no creo.
¿No creo? Was her mic on? So maybe we can find research for that. Maybe we can't. How will we find out? What we're going to do is go into the literature. We're going to find papers that have done this or similar things before and search what were their data sources. What data did they use? Where did they get it? For this course, the data you use will probably be secondary, right? I don't see you guys having any time to collect data from anyone doing surveys and things. It's not going to happen. We're going to work with finding secondary data sources. Somebody else has collected it and provided it online. That's going to be our goal. So you're going to have to modify possibly your question to suit what's available. All right. So the one that I want to talk about, hold that. I can go to the next one. Can I? Yes. No. Oh, I'm going to go between. Okay. I like these. I like them all. They're all great. It's just we have to, now we're going to change the question based on feasibility. Can we really do this in the next 6 weeks? Then E. Oh no, I didn't do that one. Stop for a second. Okay, so let's go back to Patrick's. That was the one that I was going to highlight. Let's see if this is feasible. So Jared, you're okay with the timestamps? You're managing there? You know what different topic when I switch? Just
Yeah, yeah, I
just
think so.
just put the time. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So let's just go back to Patrick's. Then we're going to try and use that as an example, not to put her on the spot. I mean, it's a great question. All the questions are great, really. All of them are great. Okay, so back to that question. All right, so how do financial literacy and risk perception influence investment intention among young adults in developing countries? So we have to break this up into the keywords that we're going to put in. We're going to start with Google Scholar. Um, that's what I'm going to show you how to use right now. But you could also put this into, yeah, like a Copilot, which is good, and Grok, which you can ask for literature on these topics. But we're going to do this in a traditional way with the search strategy that then we can trace back. And the one key point about research is you want it to be replicable. It means you want to be able to provide enough information when you write your paper that somebody else could reproduce and check your results. Maybe no one's going to do that, but you have to provide enough information that they can. Okay, so that's really important that research be repeated and verified, maybe with different variables or different data sources to test whatever theory or hypothesis that you have. And to reinforce it and make it more robust with different inputs, you get the same result, right? You want it to be replicable. All right, so what are the key words here? The key words, yes, just having trouble with my display screens. All right, so how would you cut this up into keywords? To find similar research, what would you do with this question? Okay, so what I want you guys to do in the chat, put keywords, like pull words from there that we could put and create what's called a search strategy. So pick certain terms or words, and I'm going to show you how to put them together to get a search with a boolean search. I'll show you what that is all about. So pick some keywords, put it in the chat, and I'm going to look at it and critique it. And not just one, you guys, a bunch of them, not just one, keywords. Like if I put risk perceptions, I'm going to get hundreds of thousands of articles. Okay. So not a sentence, keywords. All right, so this is good. I'm going to teach you keywords. So keywords would be like, yes, developing economies in quotations would be a keyword. Risk perception in quotations would be a keyword. You have to put it together, right? You want it to come together because otherwise the search will just look for risk and for perception, and you're going to get all kinds of things. You want to narrow from the billions of hits you're going to get. I don't know, I'm sure there's billions of articles out there, some higher quality than others. Financial literacy. So you're going to put in quotes your keywords. Like they're not single words, but like phrases. We'll try again. I'm going to also post these chats in on Moodle because I've been posting the meetings, but I'll put the chats up there too for us to see. Use quotes, Anthony, like young adults, because you want young adults in quotes. So, okay, I got to do this now. Right? Young adult or adults, investment. Are you guys working on it or are you giving up? I don't see you writing in the chat. All right, Natalia, developing economies. Oh, financial literacy. The first word that you put in a Boolean search is going to matter because it's going to, like, the order of your search terms is going to matter. So something like this, financial literacy in quotes, developing economies in quotes, young adults in quotes. That's going to help narrow my search. And if I don't put anything between them, it assumes it's and. This and that and that. That's how it works. And really, this is something for AI to do for you. Create a Boolean search. So go to your AI of preference and ask for a Boolean search strategy and just plug in the research question. Let's see what it does. You know what? Honestly, I didn't do this yet. I want to see what it does. Okay, so there. Then put that into your whatever of choice that you have. Let's see, your AI of choice. Or provide. Oh, it's giving me the whole rundown. Oh, well, look at that. It tells me everything. All right, so this is great. So I did it myself in Grok. You guys can do it in your own. So I'm going to share my search strategy and we're going to talk about it. Do you guys get something? Can you tell me yes or no? Did you find something? And put it in the chat if you got something or not, and then I'll show you mine. You got something that looks like code, like programming code. Now, does some of you not know where to go? Are you guys there? You're so quiet. No comments? Did I lose you? I feel like I lost you. Oh, it says you're all here. Okay. No, that's not what you're supposed to have. So just copy what I wrote. Provide and provide a boolean search strategy for the research question. Where did you go, Merali? What did you use?
Well, I have that as at the top, and then it has a bunch of like a copy paste of code.
Exactly. That's what you want. The copy paste of code is what you want. And that's what you're going to put into Google Scholar. But let me talk about it first. Make sure you have one. Everyone tell me if you got one or no. Yes or no. Okay, keep going. Okay, everybody's got something they're staring at. All right, so now explain to me what you have. I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Telling you, this is like so amazing for me that we can do this together. Honestly, this is great. All right, so here's mine. Does it look like yours? Similar? All right, so in the process, Grok tells me what all these terms mean. Okay, so you can type into this whatever, search for Boolean search strategy Google, and it'll show you the logic of doing a Boolean search. Boolean search is a logic operators like and or not. Um, and it comes from logic and mathematics, the Boolean operators and or not that you use in probability and statistics. But anyway, so and will narrow or will expand, it'll broaden, not will exclude certain words. Quotation marks helps you use phrases that I'm trying to get you guys to understand, and brackets will group terms and separate them from the others. So your key themes are financial literacy. Let me make this even bigger. So it's like there were one, two, three, four, five themes in the statement, right? You guys were kind of just hung on one, but you got to put them all in there because you're going to narrow your topic. So look at this. Why do we have a whole bunch of ways to say financial literacy? Because people say financial literacy differently, and you want to catch all those papers. You don't want to just study papers that use the term financial literacy. Maybe there's more in the vernacular, in the language, people say financial education in certain places around the world, or financial knowledge is more the way people say it, or financial awareness, which is a step before literacy, I guess. Um, so that's what we're doing here. So we put all of those together in brackets. It looks like, oh, it got cut off. Gee, let me put it somewhere else so you can see the whole thing. Let me do it here in Word. So I'm copying and pasting. That didn't look nice. All right, and I'll show you this. Are you guys following me? You understand where we're going with this? I'm really cutting your work down. It's incredible. So we spend more time thinking than writing, which I really like. All right, so there's my search terms. I cut and paste them because I couldn't see them or present them properly. So we also have money management. Interesting. So that's another way people seem to say things. And I didn't have to do a huge literature review to find that. AI helped me, okay? So it helped me with this piece, doing the search strategy. Okay, now the other theme is risk perception. How many ways are there of saying risk perception? There's risk attitude, risk tolerance, risk aversion, financial risk. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Maybe there's other ways, but we can focus on this. Now, can you appreciate this is my search strategy with 5 themes combined together. I'm searching them simultaneously, and there's several ways of saying the same thing. So that's why I use or inside the brackets. This, but if not that, this one. Or if not that one, this one. And it's checking for at least one of these are in the title of the paper or somewhere inside the paper. That's what Google Scholar is going to look for. Okay. The next theme is investment intention. How many ways are there of saying that? Investment intention, investment behavior, investment decision, intention to invest, and investment propensity. Now, each of these themes have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you think that's a coincidence? It's like a limit, okay? Grok set some sort of limit and it internally, and it only gave me 5 for each. Do you think there's more than 5? Do you think there's more than 5? This is this is not a coincidence, right? It set 5. It only gave me 5 ways of saying the same thing. There's probably so many more ways, like even here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we got 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different ways. There's probably more ways. So how do we resolve the fact that if I do this or Jared does this, he might have a different search strategy than me. What you do is you report it. You put it in your paper. You said, this is the search strategy I used. You see? Because somebody might have done something similar, but used a different search strategy than you. And then if they had a very different result, you can dig back and say, oh, well, they had different papers than me because of these keywords being different. Okay. But probably more or less you guys have the same ideas coming out with similar search terms. Okay, so we're going to copy this and we're going to put this into Google Scholar. So whatever you came up with, how many of you, Kate, how many of you look, it looks different than mine? Anybody looks very different than mine? Can you put it in the chat if it looks really different? Well, it looks like everybody's similar, right? So cut this, copy this, and put it into Google Scholar. So now we're going to open Google Scholar. Keep you guys busy. Keep you guys working on this. All right, so I'm going to dump it in here. I'm going to paste it. The whole thing goes in. And here I go. Wow, only 9,000. You see, otherwise it would be a million searches would come up. I narrowed it. Still 9,000. So, does everybody get something like that? Are you following the steps? So what we want to do, I have to remember how to do this now. My library, I think. No, not my library yet. want to go to settings. Oh, I should have results. Cancel articles. 1 second. Oh, sorry, that was my profile. Oh, wow, I can't remember how to put this in my library. Okay, so, oops, now what? I lost it. No. Okay. The articles now that appear, you guys have similar, right? We're doing Patrick's paper. You guys can do your own later in a second, but we're doing Patrick's paper, interest. And the first paper is from 2015, so it's a while ago. It's 10 years ago. And it's cited by 14. That's not a lot, but it looks like this is a critical paper. So it's going to rank. Remember what I told you, whatever you put first is going to be the preference. If you change the order of your themes, you're probably going to get a slightly different search strategy. So you need to decide, what's the most important theme. Probably financial literacy is the most important theme here. It shouldn't be that different, but it will rank differently. So what you need to do is read these papers. You're going to open this. I don't know what happened to my cursor there. Okay. You're going to open the paper and you're going to read the abstract. Abstract is like a summary of the paper. This is kind of a long one. Usually it's, 500 words. And you're going to see if this is relevant, this is of interest to you or not. If it is not of interest to you, you can modify your search terms to get to the things that you want. Look at a few papers to see if it's on the right track. This one has nothing about youth in it. She can look, a little deeper to see if there's something with youth. Let me see that search strategy again, because youth is another keyword. I can't remember if it was there. So that was interesting because she had millennials, emerging adults, interesting. So if it's coming up with things that you don't like, you change your search terms to narrow it because I don't see the youth thing coming up much. Or maybe move the statement about youth further up in the search. Okay, so let's go back to my search strategy. Let's put youth up higher in the search strategy. Young adults. I'm going to move this up here. Oh, the and went the wrong place.
Professor, and I would say developing economies is important as well, right?
Yeah, I think it's more important to capture because it's really missing it, right? So let's put the whole thing up here. So we'll do that. And then, and it has to be capitalized. This is, none of this is just, the boolean search terms must be capitalized. Okay. And the ones in between. All right, let's try this one. Let's try this order. Let's see how it comes different. So I'm going to replace this. Okay, to do this, um, I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to Command A if you have Apple and Control A if you're using Dell or not an Apple computer, and just Control V or Command V. And let's try this order. Okay, many more young adults. There you go. Now this is more irrelevant. Isn't that interesting? Did you guys know this? Did you know that the order matters? So the order of your search matters. Yes or no? Did you know that? You didn't know that. Okay, the order of your search matters. Look how different the the outcomes are.
We're not looking at anything just in case.
Ah, but the order matters. Did you try it yourself? Okay, look at that. 17,000. So how much did we have before? 9,000? Now
Yes.
it's 17,000. And we have the first one, segmenting young adults based on financial management behavior. Interesting. Next, catch them young. Impact of financial socialization, financial literacy, and attitude towards money on financial well-being of young adults. And it looks like, even though it doesn't say anything about the country, but look, it's a keyword in the text here. Okay, so we got it. It's right, Yo Patrick. I can't see you. Let me see. I'm gonna find you. Did she leave? All of this, and she's not here. All right, so let's say we think this is a good paper. We read the abstract. We're going to save that. And we're going to say label as reading list. We're going to save that in a reading list. Catch them, yeah. I really like this one. I haven't even read the article, but assume I read at least the abstract. So I'm going to save this in my reading list. Financial literacy, young Americans. No, I want developing economies. Millennials and money management. No, I want developing economies. You see, just with the titles, I can go emerging adults. Is that developing? Yes. So save that reading list. Okay, so you're going to save some articles that are relevant, that have all the keywords in there.
Professor, how many articles are in a
All right, this is the question, right? This is the question. How many articles? All right. And what are we going to do with these articles? That's the right question. I'm not going to answer it yet, but it's the right question. Um, the effect of ethnicity, gender, parental financial socialization on financial knowledge among Gen Z in Malaysia. Do you like that one? Save that one. Reading list, save, done. All right. All right. So remember what your goal is. What is our goal? Why are we doing this? We are going to pursue a research project. We have to find out who did something like our research project before and what can we do that's new. As well, we're looking at past research to identify databases. Where are they getting the data from? How did they do the methodology? How they prepare the methodology and what were their results? That's why we're doing this, okay? With all that in mind, we have to read a lot of papers. Now, we have limited time, okay? We have limited time. What I'm going to ask you to do for this week is find 10 of the best papers. Now, you're going to get more than 10, but I'm going to ask for your homework for Friday. You're going to summarize those 10 papers in an Excel spreadsheet. I keep using Excel. I keep using Excel because it's easy for me to grade and it's also easy for me to organize. And it's going to be easy for you to look for patterns. Remember that was a question I had for you? What are the patterns in the literature review? To find patterns, if you have everything in a systematic way in a Excel spreadsheet, it's easy to see patterns, right? So it's gonna be a data entry exercise. Again, try and leverage AI to help you. I've never done this with AI before, but everything I'm doing with you is like new for me too. Like I haven't asked these questions, but I know it's capable and it's way more efficient. Coming up with a search strategy could take weeks, and we just did it in less than a minute, okay? This is all, and it's like you have your own staff when you use AI like this. You don't want it to write the paper. You want to show me, you want to demonstrate that you went through all the steps of doing this and checking. But you're using, leveraging, depending or, fully operationalizing AI to help you as your assistant. All right, so these, let's see these papers. I want to see these. Now, where did they go? They went somewhere. They went to my library. You see there's a little star there. You guys see my screen? It's like not a star, but there's a green or orange, sorry, light. Aha, there they are. You see? Now, what can I do? Ah, so I can export. So these are going to come into an Excel spreadsheet for me or something, or a list, or oh, I don't even remember. Let's see. I don't want all these papers. I have a lot of articles, so I need to clear this. I have to make my own library.
I think you could select the reading list where it says 4 articles in the left. Left.
Yeah. Thank you. Perfect. That's the reading list. Okay. Thank you. Did you do this before, Anthony, or you're just helping me? You're just seeing.
Helping.
Okay. Yes. Reading list. So there they are, the four. And now I want to export. You can archive them. Like I mentioned to you before, there is software that people have historically, I say history is a long time, but traditionally or conventionally, they use software. They download this and put it in software. Um, I'm not gonna ask you to buy software, but that's an option. There is a free software called Mendeley, but we're not gonna bother with that, okay? We're not gonna go to that extent, but just keep that in mind in the future if you want to do anything like this. So, uh-oh, I don't want to archive them. Uh-oh, how do I go back? Okay, so I want to export this. You see, so these are the softwares that you can put it in. BibTeX and Note, that's a Mac or Apple product. Reference Manager and BibTeX are both what you call PC or non-Apple software. So CSV is going to put it in Excel type format. So it's going to my CSV. It's going to be in an Excel type format. Downloads. Okay, citations. Wow, look at that. This is so amazing. I'm telling you. I used to have the students type this out, but you don't have to anyway. All right. So I'm going to show you what I'm looking at. Are you guys copying as you'd go, or you're going to do this later? You're following my steps? So I'm going to show you what I get. Share Zoom. There you go. My articles are in a spreadsheet. The author, the title, the publication, the details about it, and that you're going to put into, or you're going to expand it, and I'm going to show you how. Okay, any questions so far? So those are the citations that I like, but I asked you to get 10 good ones, okay? As a start. Really good ones that really touch on what you want to do, what you're interested in. If that's really what you want to pursue, you're going to figure it out this week. You're going to figure out today, actually, because we got to move on. We're going to do something else tomorrow. related, but and so I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that. So what you're going to do is you're going to put that information here, the author, title, whatever. You're going to put it in an Excel and you're going to expand the columns. I'm going to share this so that you guys can take the columns from here. Okay, so what's in these columns? Research question. So for each paper that you selected, and I asked you for 10 good ones, like really good seminal or whatever relevant papers, what you could do, let me take a step back. What you could do before you start selecting, this is really important. Um, Before you start selecting, I don't know why it's blank. Do that again. Let's go back a step. Okay, so I'm back here. This is my search. Let's say I just want to look in the last 10 years. You can do that. Let's reduce this to the last 10 years. That's going to still include the top ones I picked, except for this one. Oh, I didn't use that one. So millennials, let's go 15 years. Let's do that. Things sort of changed in 2010. Yeah, around there, social media, global markets. Okay, so let's go from 2010 to 2025. Doesn't really change too much of what I already selected. Didn't change much. These are all pretty relevant articles. Isn't that the same number? Is that crazy? Light. Anytime. 17,100. And if I change it to 2010 to 2025, what happens? You guys are going to tell me. Okay, so it's going from 17,100 to 17,200. What happened? Why does it have more when I cut down the years? How could that possibly be? No ideas? Are you listening to me? Everyone's waiting for the answer. The reason is if I don't put a custom range, it shows me 17,100. Then if I cut it down, it tells me 17,200. It's the same logic. It's not a coincidence that the number is 17,000. It's some sort of limit of the software that just shows you 17,000 maximum for these sort of terms that I use, these search strategy. It says 17,000 are relevant. So it just gave me 17,100. It just kind of stopped. It just stopped giving. There's probably more than 17,100. Okay. When I reduce the range to the last 15 years, it's going to drop things like this one, 2012. No, that falls in the range. Okay, I think more than fall in the range. I gotta find an old one. There must be older ones in here than 2010. It drops those, but then it puts more from that are more recent that aren't so relevant, relatively speaking, like to the because I was looking at any time. So it's of all time, it's giving me the most important ones, but it's leaving out others that are more recent. When I do this, it's giving me the most relevant of the last 20 years. Now, I'm not going to analyze all these thousands and thousands. Oh, sorry, no, I want to go to 2025. But it manages to find 17,200 that are relevant and it stops. So it's kind of like a stopping point is like 17,000 and some. Okay. There's more than 17,000 in some, but it stops. So that's why it's 17,000. All right, 200. So if I want to do that in the last 15 years, that's what I do. And I go up. Those ones that I picked are still there, those four important ones. So let's go, this one, my reading list, because I erased what I'd done. I wanted this one because this is developing economies. It has my keyword concepts in there. And then financial education, youth, developing economies, done. A randomized evaluation, Euro financial education for youth. Save. Okay, I'm going to stick with my 4 for now. And then I'm going to um, go to my library. And then I'm going to get my 4 reading list. Okay, so there they are. And then I'm going to export to CSV, which will be a file that will go into, that can be opened easily with Excel. So you can open, so what you can do is open, you guys are going to watch my desktop. So you're going to open it. Oh, move you over. This Grammarly thing, I can't get my folders. No, that's not it. Get out of my way. Okay. So you see my here, so I can right click in Apple. I think you can do it in either computer, type of computer, and open with, and you say Excel. Right click, open with Excel, and it'll open it in Excel. There you go. You can expand the columns by clicking here and double clicking here. It'll expand the columns so you can see them. I don't know, you guys know how to use Excel, but these are the kind of things I do in Excel. So I want to format the cells and I want to make it wrap text so I can narrow these columns and it just makes the box wider. You guys following me? So I can see everything. We're going to work in Excel. So you guys are going to do this in Excel for 10 articles, and then I'm going to allow you to do like searches using AI after, but I need you guys to do it this way first to understand search strategies and searching. So here are my 4 articles that I chose. Amazing, amazing. I could use AI to get my search strategy and do this. Here in this corner in B2, I put freeze pane so I can scroll, I can scroll up and down and not lose my titles. Why do I want to do that? Let me make these smaller. You guys can watch the video if you don't follow. Hopefully you do. And I'm going to add a bunch of columns here that I have to fill the information for. And the columns are going to come from this other spreadsheet. Oh yeah, you guys can see that. Sorry, let's do that. Desktop. So there's this other spreadsheet. I'm going to share this in Moodle that has these headings. Copy and paste from the article, or, okay, let's just say, what you're going to do is look for the research question in that paper. What was the research question? What did they study? Put it here. If you keep the paper, oh, let me take all these out. Okay, okay, let me talk about these. I'm going to reorder this because this is not. What I want you really to do is fill in these columns. This is an international type paper. Put in the countries of analysis. Include, because you have the research question, you want to include forget that for now, the independent and dependent variables. So here is going to be, if they what methodology they use. Okay, I gotta reorder all this. This is really out of order. Hold on. Insert column. So, what methodologies did they use for their research question to analyze it? What were their independent variables? What was their dependent variables? Predictors is another word for independent variable. Endpoint or response variable or outcome is another word for dependent variable. And oh, this one I already did. So what methodology did they use? What type of regression or some other regression? What were their independent and dependent variables? What was the data source? Aha, so I want you to record there. What did they use? Did they make their own data or did they have an actual data source? That's what you really need because that's what we're looking for, okay? We're looking for the methodologies, the data source. What years did they study in their paper? What were the theories or the theoretical framework, you see? So you're going to start looking for theories in the paper. What theories did they apply? What are they testing? What are the highlights or comments or quotes from the paper? And I'm going to put some more things in here. Probably tomorrow, but I'm going to put this up. I'm going to put this up to get you started. If you guys can find the top 10 that are going to be relevant for some sort of regression analysis that you want to do, that's what's going to go in here. The top 10 that have a regression analysis that has similar research question that you can help to formulate your research question. So back to Anthony's question about how many papers. I'm just asking you to do 10 for this week, right? But they have to be the best 10 because you're going to read more than 10 or you're going to investigate more than 10. And you can do this with AI as well. You can put the paper in Grok or Copilot and say, find the answers to this. Now, I'm going to tell you, if you guys use AI and that's why your assignments weren't so well done, then be careful. You have to read the answers that AI is giving you. Make sure it's answering the question to my satisfaction. All right. So you can say, put the paper in there and say, give me the methodology of the paper, the type of regression, the predictors, the dependent variable. You can ask it to find it for you, or you can just read the paper. You're going to read 10. It's not the end of the world. Okay. So how many papers? I'm giving you 10, but how many papers? You read all the papers that you can fit in your time in general, in practice. You're going to read all the papers until the papers are not new, like until the pattern is laid out. If you pick another paper, so you've read like 60 papers, and then the next paper you read kind of looks like another paper, then read another paper and see if that paper looks like the other. Basically, if you have all the patterns already identified and the new papers you're reading are all looking like the other papers, record if there's different results. That's the most important thing. If you have something different, if you keep having the same sort of things coming up and you're recording them, put them also in your large Excel spreadsheet in practice, and you can kind of stop. That's the literature review. When the patterns start to, you found the patterns, you found all the patterns, they just kind of repeat. That's pretty much when you're done your literature review. Let me say we have some time left. How do we know if we have literature and we have different patterns, like some papers are saying the relationship that you're exploring exists and some papers say it doesn't exist. What do you do with that? So back to the original question that we were looking at for Yo Patrick's research, the question was, what was the question was? How do financial literacy and risk perception influence investment intention among young adults in developing economies? So there was like 5 key themes there. We did a search. We conducted a search. Hold on, let me project. And let's say financial literacy, in some papers it shows financial literacy is the most important thing. Risk perception is not that important. So there's a bunch of papers that say financial literacy is important, and some other papers say risk perception is not. What do I do? What is my conclusion of that research? How do I conclude when I know I did a literature review and a bunch of papers say financial literacy is more important, and some other papers say, nah, you know, some really good papers say risk perception is really important and financial literacy not so much because they can hire somebody or they have an uncle or something like that. Or there's some difference of opinion. What is the conclusion of that research question, if that's the literature that you find? So similarly, you hear sometimes, oh, eating eggs. So in medical research or biological research, you hear research, oh, eating eggs is really good for you. And then another day you hear, oh, eating eggs is so bad for you. Some people just throw up their hands and say, this is just, I'm not going to listen to this anymore. It's confounding or conflicting research. Which one do I listen to? What do we do? How do we resolve that um, dispute? Does anybody know? So in economics, this happens a lot, right? Because in economic research, you can find so many different opinions. What is typically done, first, the literature review you guys are doing is just a literature review. What we do in economics is conduct, or in other fields of science, scientific fields, that's economics is a social science, finance is a social science. It's not a science that you can test in a laboratory, right? And test things like in a laboratory, um, and control. So we call it social science because it's hard to do experiments. It's really hard to control things when people are involved. You can't put them in jail and study them or really affect their behavior and control for their changes in behavior. So what we do is a systematic review. It means that we have to get all of the papers. We don't just stop because, next week you have to do an assignment. We get all of the papers. Systematic review uses a specific search and it tries to find every single, like thousands. It will read in a systematic review, thousands of papers will be in research or read. Probably they're using AI to do that now. And the results will be compiled into what's called a meta-analysis. I'll put that on the chat. In a meta-analysis, so a systematic review to retrieve all papers that meet the criteria provided that is written into the search strategy. So you guys know the difference between a keyword and search strategy now, right? Search strategy is the code, the and the or, the Boolean search. So systematic review to retrieve all papers that meet the criteria that is written into the search strategy. is conducted, and then, hold on, Brina, and then um, all findings, or the findings, are combined into a meta-analysis. Okay, then, so I put it in the chat. So systematic review is conducted to retrieve all papers that meet the criteria that is written into the search strategy. Oh, it's a bad sentence. Um, put it in brackets. Okay, so the systematic review to retrieve all papers that meet the criteria that is written into the search strategy is conducted, and then the findings of all the papers are combined into a meta-analysis. So they put together all the results, all the findings, and they conduct a meta-analysis, and it puts everything together from all the papers. Like if they were all regressions, it puts all of the results of the regressions together to come up with a summary of all the papers, and it'll give you a result and say, yes, financial literacy is more important than risk perception, or it will say risk perception is more important than financial literacy, and it will conclude, it'll combine them all. Okay, so one paper alone, this is the conclusion, one paper alone is not enough. A few papers is not enough. You actually have to take all of them, combine them, and put them together. That's how you resolve an impasse of understanding what the results mean. We're not going to do that, obviously. Okay. But with AI, I imagine that's much easier than these days than it was before. All right. So I'm going to stop there. You guys are going to replicate what I did and come up with something, some sort of search strategy. Let me put my camera on to say goodbye to you guys today. So you're going to do what we did for your question. You're going to improve your question based on what you're getting, with your search. You're going to put those 10 papers into, you're going to pull them out, put them, export them. You're going to export more than 10, right? Because maybe you want to look at more than 10. Notice that some of the papers will not be there, the ones that you want to read. That shouldn't stop you from reading a paper if it's important. I'm going to show you next class how to ask for that paper from the library. The library should be able to find papers that do not link. We have to go into that's what we're going to do tomorrow, is actually get the papers if you're having trouble downloading them. Because for your last week, I was giving you papers. Now you have to know how to download them. If you can't download them, you have to go into the Sistema Bibliotecario de Puerto Rico, University of Puerto Rico, and it will either give it to you there, or you can ask for a librarian to find it for you from another university in our system or in the States. They will actually share the papers with us. Okay. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. I do have to go. Um, so I'm going to put up the Excel file, but right now you guys just repeat what I did if you're going to work on it right now. And I got to put up this video, man. I have no time because I have to get going. Anyway, I'll do my best to get it up, but you guys have a good day. We will be in touch tomorrow. I will see you, and you guys can ask me your questions. Good luck. Ciao.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.